Hey everyone, Joe here in my workshop. This is Fan Appreciation Week. So in honor of that, we are going to do a rapid fire 5-day in a row Q&A session, right? I asked you both on our Facebook channel and through our Patreon supporters of what questions do you have about us, about the show, about the car? And boy, did you guys deliver. We got well over 100 questions. So a couple of them were repeats, but for the most part, they were all unique questions. So we were a bit overwhelmed with all of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to break the questions up into 5 categories, right? So we've got category 1 is kind of about us. Category 2, original kits. Category 3, the other original props. Category 4, production of the series. And category 5 is kind of like the semi, replicas, Team Knight Rider, and other miscellaneous stuff. So we're going to do one category a day, 5 days in a row. So let's get started. So category 1 for today is going to be kind of questions geared towards us, me and AJ. So first question, what sparked your interest the most in Knight Rider? You know, that's a great question. I started watching the show back in the 80s, as many of you did when I was a kid. I didn't catch it on NBC because of my age, but in the late 80s, there was a station out of Secaucus, New Jersey called WWOR. And in like 1987, 88, 89, 90, they would play 2-hour blocks of Knight Rider every day from like 3 to 5 p.m. And so I would come home from school, I would turn it on, and I would watch them. And that's when I really, really fell in love with the show. In fact, I remember it was the episode Lost Night from season 3, watching that on WWR, and that's when I realized, boy, I just really like this show. And so that's kind of how this all started. And then throughout the 90s, I wrote that first book, A Shadowy Flight, The Unofficial Guide to Knight Rider, in 1997. And then additional books followed, and then it just kind of spiraled from there. All right, so the next question is, how did you and AJ come to meet and join forces? So that kind of ties into that first question. So back in the early 2000s, I was writing the book Knight Rider Legacy, and I'm not sure, I think AJ heard about this book and he emailed us asking, if we want his help, or if I want his help. And at that point I knew nothing about him, but his responses in the emails indicated to me very early on that, hey, this guy really knows, more than the average fan. He had recorded episodes from NBC. He saved TV Guide ads. He had a historical record of all of the airings on NBC to include the repeats. I mean, he really dove deep. And this was, back when Knight Rider was on, AJ was not even a teenager yet. He was 10, 11, 12. I was 1, 2, 3, so we're about a decade apart. But that's when it really started. And we collaborated on that book a little bit. And then, as the years passed, and we had the opportunity to collect some of the original cars from the show, and really it just kind of took off. We decided, hey, we kind of need to brand this and make ourselves known as, the Knight Rider historians, to give us some, I guess, street cred, if you will. And that's just kind of how that evolved over the years. And now we're good friends. We talk very often, see each other a few times a year because we're, 800 miles apart. But so that's the story of how I started and how I met AJ. So what is your holy grail item yet to acquire for the Knight Rider historians? Well, that's an interesting question. Is it holy grail of items that we know are out there, or holy grail of items that once existed and may still be out there or not? For me personally, it would be the hardtop stunt car that they used throughout all 4 seasons of the show. Almost even more than the hero car, believe it or not. I mean, both those are really kind of high up there, but we don't know if that hardtop car still exists. But that car is interesting to me because it was used in the most episodes out of any car, and it it saw a lot of stunts. It had to have been really patched together by the end of the series. I just think it would be fascinating to be able to dissect that car and really look at it and find, uncover the evidence in that car. But again, we don't know if that exists. But if it doesn't exist, then I guess the next best thing would probably be the original hero car / right-hand blind drive car, which does still exist. And we know the owner, we're in contact with the owner, but we're not in a position to purchase it currently. All right, so what do you do for a living? Well, that's great. I've had people contact me thinking that I do this for a living. I do Knight Rider historians for a living. I get paid to go out and hunt down props, and AJ gets paid to go out and hunt down props. But really, this is all just a hobby, right? I actually work for the federal government, and I have for many, many years. And AJ is in real estate and some other ventures, but that's what I do for a day job. All of this Knight Rider stuff is all purely a hobby. Sometimes I wish I could figure out how to turn it into a full-time profession, but that might sour me from it a little bit. So I think it's good that remains a hobby, and then I have my other job. All right, exactly how many original screen cars do you have, and what is a typical year for them? Some car shows and special events are just tucked away for safekeeping. Well, that's an excellent question. So between AJ and myself, we have 2 of the 5 surviving Knight Rider cars. We've got the original backup to the hero car, is one of the 3 cars purchased for filming the pilot. So we have that car. It was used as the backup to the hero car in season 1. Season 2, it was the insert car where they did all the insert shots with Hasselhoff driving. And then season 3 and 4, it was used very sparingly. And then we also own one of the stunt cars that came into play very late in the 3rd season, was used a decent amount in the 4th season. And then it became a Universal Studios theme park car for a while. And there's lots of videos on the channel about that car if you want to check it out. But so we own 2 of the 5 original cars, and with COVID and everything, we haven't really done any shows. But in the past, we've done a number of things with the cars. Usually, we take out the stunt car. We haven't taken out the backup to the hero car. I'm hoping to change that soon. But in 2017, we did the picture car reunion in Indiana, where we reunited our 2 cars and the original hero car, the / right-hand blind drive car. We reunited the 3 of those cars. 2018, we did take the backup to the hero car out to a show, the Pontiac show. Where was that? Outside of Chicago. Yeah, outside Chicago. And then, my stunt car went to Jay Leno's garage. We filmed there. Went to Good Morning America in 2019. We did a show with the Northeast Ohio Dukes. They did a stunt show in Ohio. What year was that? It was a couple years ago. And we took the stunt car to that. And but next year, 2022, for the 40th anniversary of the show, we actually have a number of things coming up with the car. So there's going to be opportunities. You want to stay tuned to this channel, because we're going to announce different opportunities that you can come out and see our cars and meet us. So I won't give you any more details than that, because nothing is 100% finalized, but we've got, 3 or 4 opportunities next year. So it should be a pretty exciting year. Let's see. I like this question. What does your wife say about having the semi in your lawn? And what do you spend on buying props from the show? I have a very, very understanding wife. And I'm not sure how to answer that. She's very supportive. It certainly has helped that, it got her a free trip to California to meet Jay Leno. But she's very supportive of all of my crazy, wild endeavors, and I promised her that the axles for the semi would not sit in the lawn for too long. So as soon as I get those back under the semi, I will replant the grass that has now been killed by the axle sitting in the grass, and we should be good. And what do you spend on buying props? That's kind of a personal question. But I'm not going to answer that. It varies on the prop and the significance of it and whatnot. Why don't we ever see AJ in YouTube videos or some commentaries that you could do together? I've said the same thing to AJ, but he's been very, very busy with some other stuff. But he is actually working on doing commentaries on my commentary for the episode commentary. So as you guys know, at this point of recording, we're starting the 3rd season, and AJ wants to go back because he watches those and he's like, oh, I wanted to comment on this and this and this. So I said, well, why don't you do commentary on my commentary? So that's what he's going to do. So he's getting around to recording that. So hopefully you'll start to see him a little bit more on this channel. Do you keep in touch with the other owners of original kits? We don't have monthly meetups or anything, but like Zoom calls or anything like that. But we do, we have made contact with all of the owners, the owners of the other 3 originals. We know who they are. We know how to contact them. We've had the opportunity to meet all but one of them in person, and we've educated them on the cars and the provenance and what certain details on the cars mean. And we do that mainly because we don't want someone who owns these cars to accidentally erase some of the history of the cars, because there's things on the car that were done by the studio that the average person might look at and not understand and then just get rid of it. So we educate the other owners of these cars so they know not to, get rid of certain things and actually damage the value of the car. So there you go. Let's see. Nobody lasts forever, sadly. The props and cars that you own, where do you see the collection going in the future to be safe? I don't know how AJ feels. I personally would love to see the cars in a museum that would take care of them, because that might be one of the only environments where you can ensure that the car is protected and has the least chance of anything bad happening to them. So it would be really neat to find a museum that shares the history, whether it's a car museum or a Hollywood memorabilia museum. Didn't they just stand up a new museum, the Museum of Television or something in Los Angeles? I seem to recall reading something about that, but maybe something like that's a good venue for these cars. And maybe one car goes one place, one goes to the other. We've had our backup to the hero car in the Peterson Museum, gosh, for almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years in 2022. And they've taken excellent care of it. So maybe there's an opportunity there one day for it to become part of their permanent collection. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Have you ever watched an episode of Knight Rider multiple times and realized new things that you haven't noticed before? Absolutely. Even to this day, even after seeing each episode way more times than any human should see them, I still notice things that I've never noticed before. And actually doing these episode commentaries has really has really been a part of that, right? Because I've watched the episodes with a critical eye before, and now I'm watching with a critical eye again, but geared toward you guys, the audience. So that's helping me realize, seeing even more things that I didn't notice before. So it's really cool. Let's see. What was your first Knight Rider prop acquisition? How many props do you have? So I'm trying to remember. I think the first prop that I ever got was some of the dash panels for the insert dash. So if you watched our videos, we're currently restoring the insert dash. Well, years before we even knew where the insert dash was, a couple of the original panels, the tack board, the PAMP board, the steering wheel, all showed up on eBay in a lot, and I won that lot, and that was the very first set of original props that I got. Little did I know that I'd, a year later, I'd obtained the car that insert dash was in for a while after the show ended, and then many years later actually acquired the insert dash itself. So call it fate, call it luck, call it karma, right? But it all kind of came together and I've been able to take these pieces that I bought so many years ago and put them back where they belong, which is super, super cool. All right. Oh, that's a lot of questions just about us, right? We still have tons of questions to go in our other categories. One thing I wanted to leave you with, I'm toying with the idea of doing a live YouTube episode, maybe a live Q&A, something like that, where you guys could get on and talk to me live. What do you think about that? Is that something that would be of interest to you guys? Let me know below in the comments, and maybe I'll set up some live, a live episode, so we can chat in real time. So, all right. So that's episode 1 of our Q&A. Tomorrow, we're going to load the next episode, and that's going to be all about the original kits. All right. If you haven't subscribed, please do so below. Check out our Patreon channel. You can become a supporter, see exclusive behind-the-scenes pictures and videos you don't see anywhere else. And with that, have a great day. We'll see you next time.
And now, while we listen to Joe's selection of Knight Rider music that we received directly from Don Peak himself, we'd like to thank these Patreon supporters. Look at you guys scrolling up the screen to my right. Wait a minute, how can you tell which side is my right, since you can't see me because I'm not on camera? Oh well, you know what I mean. We're featuring these fine supporters at our Knight Rider Prop Restorer level. Thank you very much for your support. And for those of you at the Knight Rider History Hunter level, we're recognizing you right now in the description. Now, if you enjoyed seeing this golden nugget of Knight Rider history being rescued from obscurity, then please consider supporting us on Patreon. Your support would empower us to bring you even more of these historical nuggets. We are the Knight Rider Historians. Till next time, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.